Good morning. It's time to make some biscuits for your family. And so we are going to make baking powder biscuits. And I love this recipe. This is a recipe that I've been using with my kids for a while, and we are super creative in what we do with our biscuits. It's not even always biscuits and gravy. So join me as we start making these awesome biscuits. So the first thing that you're gonna need to do is grab your bowl and grab 2 cups of flour. I've already been making other things this morning, so that's why my bowl is already dirty a little bit. So 2 cups of flour. So you got 2 cups of all-purpose flour to begin your recipe with. You want to start with doing all the dry ingredients first and mix those up really good. The next thing is salt. I have recently fell in love with pink Himalayan salt. And it was kind of weird for me at first because as I was rolling out my doughs, like my pizza crust, there would be these red flecks in it. And I was like, what is this? And when I found out, it's just my pink Himalayan salt, Krista. No need to worry, no need to fret. Everything is okay. So pink Himalayan salt is my newest thing, but you can use any type of salt that you want. The next thing is the baking powder, and you need 1 full tablespoon of baking powder. This is what is gonna give your biscuits that nice pop and the fluffiness to them. Otherwise, they're gonna turn out like dead discs, hockey pucks, if you will. That's what they turn into. So you need a tablespoon of your baking powder. Then that is all for your dry ingredients. So that's literally it. So let's grab our fork, which is my favorite utensil in the kitchen. It separates things, it gets things going. It is just an awesome tool and easy and accessible. And who doesn't have forks? Man, it's awesome. So fork is what I'm doing now. The next thing I'm gonna do is add in my Crisco. I am a true lover, they call it shortening, but I am a true lover of the butter flavor. There is something magical about that butter flavor that the regular just doesn't have it. So I love butter flavored Crisco. So that is what I'm gonna use for you today. There is no magical way to get this out. It is messy, and that is just the truth of it, okay? So literally, I even just level it off with my finger. You could probably do it with a butter knife. But I love just getting dirty and getting my fingers in, and then I literally just pull it out, and it's all good. Because I'm washing my hands all the time, so it's totally okay. And there's my Crisco. It's all out, and it's all in my little thing. I'm gonna rinse off my fingers because my fingers got all icky. And Crisco is something that I just love to have on hand in the back of my fridge. Crisco and yeast, you will always find in the back portion of my fridge, you will find Crisco and yeast. That is my thing. So I always have those on hand. What you want to do with this Crisco now is you want to press it into your flour. So it's almost if you've ever made a pie crust before, or if you haven't, that's okay too. Just go ahead and push it in the dough so you don't have any of these really big, large chunks. So since I put it in as 1/4 of a cup, sometimes it will become really chunky in your dough as you start to roll it out too. So all we're doing right now is just making sure that we take out all of the chunks, okay? All right, that is pretty much complete. All of my little chunks are all good to go, as you can see. It's all good. So now we're gonna move on, and now the last ingredient is milk. That's right, it only takes 5 ingredients to make this. Really not that many ingredients. And you're making a fresh dough for your family. That tastes so good. So the next thing you wanna do is add in your 2/3 of a cup milk. So I'm gonna add my 1/3. First, mix it up just a little bit, just so that it doesn't pool in there. Then I'm gonna add my next 1/3 of a cup. There we go. Putting my milk away, and we're coming back to you guys. Here we go. So now it's time to stir it up even more. Make sure that you get it nice and mixed up. I think it's always just a guess as to when you're first starting to cook as far as how much do I need to mix this up? Am I over mixing things? You know, that's always a question when you first start cooking things. So with this mixture, I just like to mix it up so that it's starting to get a little bit thick. As you can tell, it's harder for me to mix. You can see the layers that are starting to form inside of here as it goes too. This is the time that I like to then take my dough and I use my hands and I mold it in just a little bit more, because sometimes my fork cannot just get everything that I want. So now my dough is pretty molded, and then I flip it onto my surface. Okay, now comes the fun part. Now we get to roll it out. Now this is where my overachiever Krista starts to kick in, where I think I can make 20 biscuits out of a recipe that should make 8. So I'm gonna make it stretch, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm using my resources the best of my ability. But what happens, friends, is again, you end up with a hockey puck as a biscuit instead of a nice big fluffy biscuit. So the key to this is making sure that you do not roll it out too thin. So you really only want it to be about 1/2 inch thick. And that is it for rolling your, no, Krista, you will not go more than that. I just keep on having to tell myself. So it really is not about even the shape of your dough as you roll it out or anything, making biscuits, which is really kind of nice. The next thing that I want to talk about is how to cut out your biscuits. There are lots of different tools in your kitchen that you can use. You don't need to go buy a biscuit cutter. Don't run out to the store and buy it, people. This is just a cookie cutter that I found. That's that almost like a 2-inch, 2.5 inch in area that I can literally push this down and I can make my cute little biscuits, see? The other thing you can use, a mason jar lid. If you've got mason jars hanging around your house, use that mason jar lid and you can pop it, and it actually works really well to use a mason jar. The other thing that I love to use, a glass, a regular old glass. Make sure that it doesn't have a really wide mouth on it, but if it has just a little mouth on it, like I love it because I can hold it, I can pull it up. It works absolutely awesome. Now what I'm gonna do right now too is turn my oven on to 350. So you want your oven to be turned on to 350, and all you're gonna do is put your biscuits on a regular old cooking sheet, okay? So as I create these, I'm gonna put my biscuits on just a regular old cookie sheet. I'm gonna press down, I'm gonna let it pop a little bit, and then I'm gonna set my biscuits right on the pan. Here's another one. Again, they just kind of pop out in your hand. So my biscuit is just kind of popping out. I just gently tap it and it normally pops out pretty well, actually. There's another biscuit. And another biscuit. Krista, you're doing good. This is so fun to cook from home. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 6 so far. I'm gonna take my extra dough pieces that I have, and you can see I'm pushing them together, and I'm just gonna roll them out one more time. Now pop it in there again. My dough pieces here. And there we go. Now I take these last pieces and I kind of shape it into one big one. And then I just set that on my pan as well. So I've got 9 little biscuits that are shaped, and this does not have to be perfect. This last one kind of falls apart. It actually ended up being my favorite. My kids don't ever eat it, but I do, because you can't really break it apart. So now I've got all my biscuits here ready to go on the pan. I'm gonna pop them in the oven. I wait for them to get golden brown on the bottom. Some people like them golden brown on the top. I love them golden brown on the bottom. So they are about 7 to 8 minutes, and you're gonna have some awesome biscuits. Enjoy.